Birthdays, weddings, graduations, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Denim Day? Look it up. Heck, finally inviting friends over for cocktails. There are a lot of spring occasions that you'll be celebrating. So why not celebrate with the gift of beer, wine, and spirits delivered in under 60 minutes with Drizzly? You're right, it's flawless logic. I've been using Drizzly now for the last couple of months. I love the convenience, and my favorite part is I put in my favorite wine or tequila, and Drizzly finds all the stores that carry them and compares prices. It's literally my go-to in a pinch. Well, right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with the code SPRING5. Just download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use promo code SPRING5, that's spring with the number 5, for $5 off your first order. This episode of Tags Podcast is sponsored by Blue Chew. Chew it and do it. Go to bluechew.com and get your first order free when you use the promo code TAGS, TAGS, BLUEchew.com. Hey, what's going on? You are listening to Tags Podcast, a.k.a. Talk About Gay Sex. I'm your host, Steve Rodriguez. This is episode 113. I'm with my co-host today, Jeremy Ross Lopez.
Woo!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was in the Hamptons this past weekend.
I saw.
Fun in the sun.
Curls and all.
I cut my hair. It
was the best weekend to be there, really. And I was texting him before he left, like,
our friend.
Oh my God, you're gonna have so much fun because it's like the one weekend that's supposed to be the hottest of the entire summer so far.
Heat wave.
Yeah,
it was a heat wave. The whole country was having a heat wave,
yeah.
And New York in general. But in my friend's beautiful home that I just love, and it was our mutual friend's birthday. I just loved hanging out with them, and we had 2 dogs that were adorable Shih Tzus. Their dog and a friend running around, and we were just being silly, doing Instagram stories. A friend of mine, it was fun, and I've been very vocal about how that's not normally my world, but I love my friends' world there, and I loved my whole time there.
That's awesome.
Of course, their house. The one thing though. Made me laugh was, and I'm curious to know what you think about it, is one of their friends, not my friends, but one of their friends was, and he was adorable. He has a husband.
I was just going to ask you who that was.
He was super adorable, but he was single. His husband was out of town, and of course I was like working.
Of course you were. I knew you would.
But he was telling me how he was going to do this upcoming party. And you tell me what you think about this party. Because, everything's a theme party. And his party choice is a caftan party where everyone wears caftans.
Oh, hell fucking no.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy Ross Lopez. That's what I was trying to say.
First of all, caftans are for, I think just elderly women and also not in the Hamptons with hot weather. Caftans are beautiful for a moment, but not this moment. And if somebody does one, like if one diva person does it, I feel like, great, you're making your statement. I mean, if it was
but
your
if
birthday,
you make everybody do it.
If it was your birthday, then you were the one that did it, it would be different.
Or I'm all about a drag party. Like, okay, let's do drag.
Yeah.
A caftan party, why not just call it what it is? Let's do jockstraps.
Right.
Underwear party.
Yeah.
But no one at this party could understand what I was talking about.
Wait, was he saying that it should be jockstraps, or he didn't mention
I was saying,
under the
let's
caftan.
just call it what it is. Let's do an underwear jockstrap party.
Yeah.
And he was saying, no, I think it would be so fun to have everyone come in a caftan. And what do you say?
Hell no.
Thank you. I will end on that. Anyways.
And that doesn't get my dick hard, and it's just not cute.
Thank you. That's all I have to say, people. I hope you're all listening. Anyway, let's move on. Berkeley, where I'm from, I went to school there. UC Berkeley in the house is ditching. Berkeley's so fabulous to me because when I went there freshman year, they did away with Columbus Day.
Okay.
And I marched with the people of Berkeley for Indigenous Peoples Day.
I love that.
So this day is still considered, they don't celebrate Columbus Day.
So in other words, they're definitely liberal.
Extremely, but instead of celebrating Columbus Day and acting like a Spaniard came here and told us that
you discovered America, Indians, which is my roots, were already here. So we said, no, we denounce it. It's called Indigenous People Day. Berkeley now only celebrates that. I love them for that. And on that same note, Berkeley, California, my sister, by the way, sent me this. Love you for sending me this. Is ditching its male-centric municipal code for one that is gender neutral. The city council is reviewing an ordinance expected to take effect next month. And get this part, that will replace manholes. Manholes, the things in the middle of the street.
Yes, I know what they are.
With maintenance holes. Chairman, they're going to change chairman with chairperson. They're going to change fireman and even firewoman with firefighter. That sounds so.
I like that.
Superhero,
better.
I love it, etc.
It's good for all of them. I mean, they're all doing a very amazing job at their positions.
Even the definition of gendered terms, the masculine pronoun includes the feminine, is being replaced with the code with words referring to a specific gender. They may be extended to any other. One of the council members, I'm not sure if I'm saying their name right, Rigel Robinson notes that language has power. And yes, it does. And I love that I went to UC Berkeley. I love that it was part of Indigenous Peoples Day. I love that they're so provocative that they are changing because language is power.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, I had to talk about that. And a friend of mine was talking that Tumblr is back. And I don't know that it really is, but one of our listeners told me there's this new thing called a different version of Tumblr, and it's actually called, let me get this right, New Tumble, NEWTUMBL. And for my friend that was telling me that the other day, it's actually New Tumble, and people that have an old Tumblr account can transfer all of your old imagery and sexual content and BDSM content to this new Tumble. And it's gaining a lot of traction right now that is taking the place of Tumblr when Apple made them get rid of all the sexual content.
I still like Twitter, so I'm on that.
Yeah, unfortunately they lost a lot of us, and you can do so much on Twitter, right? And so who cares? But today, Jeremy, you and I saw a documentary recently, and currently the LGBTQ film festival Outfest in Los Angeles is currently it started last Thursday, it goes till this Sunday, and you and I saw a press copy of a film that made a huge impact on us and left us thinking a lot. It's called Jonathan Agassi Saved My Life. It's playing this Thursday if you're in LA at the Chinese Theater, I believe at 10:30 p.m. at the TCL Chinese 6 Theater. I had a chance to talk to its director, and we're going to hear a little bit about what he had to say about this. Let's just break it down real quick about this documentary. I mean, I'll just briefly tell you, Jonathan Agassi is a stage name, but it's essentially a guy from Israel who was discovered and became a porn star. Michael Lucas Productions, a lot of you have heard of him.
Lucas Entertainment, yeah.
Yep. Discovered him, and he quickly got on the map of a major porn star. And like a lot of porn stars, went on to become an escort and a performer. And when our documentary meets him, it's at the very beginning of his career when he's taking off and he's doing photo shoot after photo shoot. He's dancing at parties, and at a lot of these parties, I've been to some of these before, where they'll create sex acts on stage, and there's so many scenes in the movie, we'll talk about it in a second, Jeremy, where they reenact hot sex acts on stage. The film goes on to, he lives in Berlin. We are introduced to his mother, who he's incredibly close to, has a very special bond with. We learn more about his upbringing in Israel, which you can imagine. His father that sort of left the coop early on, and he has a struggling relationship with his father, who also lives in Berlin, 3 blocks away from him. Drugs entered the picture. And it's a roller coaster of a ride film that's a documentary but plays more like a narrative film. I was incredibly mesmerized.
Yeah.
I was on the seat of my chair.
You're like engulfed when you watch it. It's like
Yeah.
You're
So what did
kinda
you think about it when you started watching it?
I was kind of shocked. I mean, a lot of it I wasn't expecting. It's very, very real. It's so raw, which I know documentaries do that realm of film, but you see like the insider part of this person's life, and you see like the demise and the decline and the up, and it's like it's an up and down, and it's a constant struggle, but it's like you see, it's fascinating to see the back and forth for somebody where I guess in his life there's a lot of great accolades that he gets, but then also the dark side of it is his actual life outside of getting the accolades, not in the porn and not with the escorting and any of that, where a lot of that he benefits monetarily, but it also shows that really doesn't end up making him happy and doesn't really provide the substance. But I mean, it's amazing, and it was, I wasn't expecting a lot of the shit that I saw, and it's raw, and you see, just like you said, the roller coaster ride of somebody's life behind the scenes of it looking all glazed over and glossy and beautiful. I mean, the scenes that you see when they're on location for Lucas Entertainment are like unbelievable.
Mykonos,
I mean, it's like,
which
yes,
you and I know.
And the setting, and they're like on a cliff, everyone's greased up, and they're stunning, and they're just like, I guess, fake fucking for the camera or actual in between. And it's like, it's really amazing to see. I've never really seen any of that footage and behind the scenes. And then you see like him on the beach with his mom, who he took along for the trip. And it's like, I mean, that alone, their dynamic and their relationship that you see behind the scenes, you have to always end up remembering there's a real person behind all of this, which I guess when it comes to the sex part of it, we take that part out of remembering, like, this is somebody's son, this is someone's brother, this is someone's sibling. And I love that in this documentary, you see the differences, and like you see him in the middle of the live sex act, and then you see him in Mykonos holding his mom's hand on the beach, like laying in each other's laps. It was great. I loved it.
It's an extremely unapologetic display of someone's life. And Jonathan, by the way, is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Super sexy.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to watch this film. I had a chance to talk to Tomer Heymann, the director of this film, and he was so real and raw in this interview. We're going to let you listen to a little bit of my interview with him as he discusses how he even discovered Jonathan Agassi, because Tomer is also Israeli, a gay man from Israel, filmmaker, as Jonathan is. And so you'll hear a little bit about that, why he didn't know he wanted to make a film about him, but he was just fascinated
and intrigued, which you can be by somebody that's captivating. I mean,
and what you don't always get in a film, a documentary, is he followed him for 8 years, and you're getting so much of beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And it's so riveting. Anyways, let's listen to the beginning of my interview with Tomer Heymann. One little tidbit fact about this is, which was adorable to me, is Tomer, I was trying to connect with him, and obviously I'm in New York, he's in Tel Aviv. There's an 8-hour difference, which was fine. We finally made it work. And Tomer has I think he has a partner, but he has 2 little boys. And I saw that in his WhatsApp, and I said, do you have 2 little boys? And he said, I do. And they were very present in this interview in the room playing with their toys. And every so often he had to like go into his native tongue and scold or say, I'm doing an interview, like,
yes.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
And I had to edit. But anyways, we were laughing, and it's adorable. Anyway, let's listen to the first part of the interview, and we'll come back and talk about it some more. How did you discover this guy, Jonathan Agassi, and decide to make this film?
Basically, in a very strange way, I never heard about Jonathan Agassi before. I was not into porn from different reason. So this title, Jonathan Agassi, that later on my friend almost have doubts that I don't know the guy before. Hey, you didn't spend some night with him? You know what it means? I say, no, sorry, I never heard about Jonathan Agassi. The way I know him is by walking very late. I mean, maybe 3 a.m. I was depressed. I was after separation from my boyfriend. I just want a beer, maybe adventure, maybe who knows what. And I went to a local bar in Tel Aviv. Maybe 10 people with me, like me, want a beer or vodka or mojito. And the bartender allowed himself to say to all of us with no words, with his body language, I don't care about you guys. He just jumped above the bar and start to kiss and to make love with one of the client. And from this moment, he stopped being a bartender, and I went home mad and angry about the service, but at the same time, I was either jealous or either like said, "What's going on here with this guy?" But it was very strong moment. It was very strong moment, and that basically was the first moment I catch something with him. 3 4 months later, I'm doing another project to another movie, and I was shooting in the gay week of parade. All this event, and from very
Yes.
far, my camera. You have to understand, summer, Israel, hot, Tel Aviv, you cannot even like touch anyone. It's too hot, okay? So in this really huge event, everyone dancing, sweaty, but in the middle of this huge, like I don't know how many people are around, I recognize these two guys who's doing love in the street of Tel Aviv. So I ran with my camera, and it took me a while, but I think then I remember this is a guy that couple months ago, kind of did. I found him doing the same, like on the bar, and then I asked a friend, "Can I have number of Jonathan Agassi? Can you help me to have any connection to him?" Yeah, of course. He sent me mobile number. He sent me Facebook, and day after, I met Jonathan Agassi in the one of the hotel in Ayarkon Street, and I offer him to follow him on this documentary, and that's the beginning.
And I understand that at first Jonathan wasn't very keen on wanting to be the subject of a film, and that
That
there was a story behind that relating to his mother. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Why says this guy? I don't know who is it. And then I come to my friend, who is this guy who dared to be naked, to make love in front of everyone? What's going on here? He said, Tomer, don't pretend yourself. You don't know the guy. I don't know the guy. This is Jonathan Agassi, huge porn star, the only one that came out from Israel all over. Everyone masturbated on him, everyone, whatever, in clubs, in sauna, in parties. And I told him, tomorrow I need to meet him. So I wrote to Jonathan. I don't remember. It was Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever. And like I don't know, 2 hours later, he told me, "Come to meet me in the middle of the day, which means lunchtime. I'm in Ayarkon Street in a local hotel. I'm not living in Tel Aviv. I'm living in Berlin, and I will be happy to see you." I don't remember what I told him. Something like, "Hey, I want to offer you something. I have a suggestion." I don't remember, but I I'm coming. It was Friday lunchtime, easy, nothing. I was not prepared to what's going on right now. I knock on the door of this hotel. The guy naked with maybe a small towel covered something. Okay, it started to be very strange. You know what I mean? I tell myself,
Yeah.
Tomer, breathe in, breathe out. I'm very nervous because it's a very important moment. I'm going to offer to this guy a kind of suggestion to join me to this journey. So, like, I was nervous.
Did you have the idea that you wanted to create a documentary or at least follow him around?
No, you have to understand, it was very early, basic meeting to know him. My instinct went with, hey, this guy is interesting, but I no clue about the father, about the mother, the complex he carried from the past. Later on, we might talk about it. I just was surprised that someone from Israel is so out as a gay icon, doing us live sex all over, not hide it, not ashamed about it. So it sounds to me an interesting story. So it started to be very either surrealistic, strange, weird. I'm a filmmaker coming to talk with my protagonist. It's happened in my life before, but in this atmosphere. So he started to ask me this question: how are you going to pay me? Dollar, euro,
Oh,
shekel. What is your fantasy? You are more top, you are more bottom. And then, oh, I got it. Now, the guy have expectation. I might be a client. We might have sex. And so I told him, hey, Jonathan,
oh,
sorry. I'm a filmmaker. I'm doing documentaries. Please go to the second room, dress yourself. After 5 minutes, he came like a good Howard University Jewish guy with like a very nice suit, like the opposite. Like he and that
right,
was the
right.
moment when I shake his hand and I say, "Hey, nice to meet you. You are very interesting to me." And I mention it because the same time the reality show in Israel, we're talking about almost 10 years ago, was huge. The Big Brother. Big Brother offered to Jonathan 500,000 shekel, which is incredible, for Israelis, okay? It's like $500,000 to be part of the first, yeah, of the
Big
first season in
Brother.
Israel. And Jonathan told me, hey, Tomer, it's not about money. I don't want anyone to follow my story. I have a great life. I'm in the top of my career. So I'm not into it. Because I told him I'm not going to pay you money. I'm just going to bring my camera. And I don't know what's happening in this moment. I told him, can I talk to your parents, your father, your mother? He say, my father for me is almost a dying person. So don't talk about my father. My mother here, not far away, maybe 10 kilometer. Take her number. But Tomer, there's no chance. And I put my, sorry, he say, I put my dick. You can choose to put palm. He'd say, I put my hand or my legs. My mother will give her permission to be in a movie if you're going to touch this aspect of escorting and porn, because she's too shy and she's from Israel and so don't worry, you won't have my mother, so it's mean you won't have me. And that's the next steps where was this meeting with Anna, that she's also very important in the movie.
His mother, yes, exactly. And so, is it fair to say that there was definitely a connection that you wanted to explore being from the same country, Israel, Tel Aviv, and you particularly knowing your culture. Did a lot of your initial interest in wanting to follow Jonathan have to do with that, just relating to the
For
culture?
sure, at the beginning, I was surprised and shocked. Is that someone from Israel? You have to understand. Holon Jonathan is not coming from Tel Aviv. He's coming from a small suburb near Tel Aviv. It's very
Oh, say that again.
mainstream. He's coming from Holon. Holon. It's a small city near
Okay.
Tel Aviv. Compare either to LA, things about a small city, really suburbs that you are really far from the center, much more people in the closet, people have fears. When Jonathan started also to tell me that he carry a lot of trauma from his past, he was like a child that the society really, really treat him in a bad way. So I'm talking about server, and I was surprised that this young man dared to go all the way, because I saw him on the movies. Even compared to other porn star, he was wild, he was dark, he dared to do things that other people say we're not going to do it. Yeah, it shocked me and it was interesting. And it looked like more as an optimistic movie, about the guy from the other side of Israel doing it, like kind of against all odds, this like almost Hollywood movie. I remember these sentences like it's today. When I met Jonathan, he told me, my life is like Hollywood. You will have this Hollywood movie, which means, fame, glory, successful, money. That's what I know about the guy.
Because obviously, once you got that permission from his mother, he seems you have full access. And I understand you followed. Jonathan for how many years?
I know till now. I know Jonathan almost 10 years. I follow him 8 years. In the movie, in the final cut, you almost see Jonathan from the age of 24 till the age of 31, which is 6.5, 7 years, which is a lot. Like I met him really at the beginning of the career. He was naive, no drugs in the pictures, safe sex, sleeping 8 hours, being a good Jewish boy that choose to do porn and very proud and have the feeling that he choose it and the freedom that he have in his life. That was its starting point. And in the 7 years till the age of 31, and I went to a different area with this movie.
Hey, Jeremy, you want to be ready, confident, and last longer in bed?
Of course, who doesn't?
Blue Chew is the answer for performance enhancement for so many reasons.
Like what?
At BlueChew.com, you can get the first chewables with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. Chewables can work faster than pills, up to twice as fast. The chewables from Blue Chew can be taken on a full or empty stomach.
I mean, that sounds good, but do I have to go to my doctor to get a prescription like the other two?
So that's the best part. The online physician consult is free, so it's cheaper than those other two. It only takes a few minutes to connect with a BlueChew.com affiliated physician, and if you qualify, you get prescribed online quickly. No in-person doctor visits, no awkward conversations like I've done with my doctor, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and it ships directly to your door, discreet packaging.
Wow, that sounds super easy, and I love the discreet little packages that I can carry with me when I want them for extra confidence.
So the best part of all of this for our Tags podcast listeners, guys, all you got to do is visit bluechew.com and get your first order free. That's right, free. I mean, where else do you get that? Use the promo code TAGS, TAGS, and all you got to do is pay $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, BLUE chew.com, promo code TAGS, and your first order is free.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
You are, I know you have your film company and you've produced and documented several films, actually. Was this the longest that you've ever created a documentary or followed a subject along? And at what point was Jonathan curious? At what point did you realize, okay, I have my film, and I'm just curious about
It's
the
the
timing.
hardest movie for sure. I also created a movie, Mr. Gaga, about Batsheva Dance Company and Oad Narin. It took me 8 years to do it, but not 8 years of following. In this case, Jonathan Agassi Saved My Life. I was really, really deeply involved on many layers, and were too many moments that I lost myself in the movie because I found myself going to Berlin and London. I'm not so naive guy. I'm gay by myself. I went to party. I went to sauna. I went, to adventure. I'm not a virgin, but still, I was exposed to this kind of style of life. Heavy parties, drugs, and extremely destroyed yourself. It was new to me. So you have to understand, it's many times happened that Jonathan called me, come to see amazing party in London, in Spain, in whatever, many times in Berlin. Mykonos, yeah, come
Mykonos,
for
we
one
go to
night,
Mykonos as
tonight, and I
well.
found myself for 3 weeks, 1 month. Or my cameraman, sometimes I was not able, so I sent the cameraman at the Rice. So it was a movie that surprised me. Each time I discover more layers about the guy. One of the turning point that you might see in the movie, it's like when I realized by mistake that his father, first of all, he have a father, a real father that is alive, and he is living 3 blocks from the apartment that Jonathan have client or doing the porn movies. 3 blocks from there is a father who creates this boy, this child, and they are not talking, and I don't understand the relationship. This is something that I discover by mistake from Jonathan. So what I'm supposed to do with this information? Of course, I want to meet the father. I'm interesting. Why he left the house? What kind of relationship? Then the father agreed to be in the movie, and he's coming to visit Jonathan. And one of the, I think, a very strong moment in the movie is this meeting with son and father. It's really hit you. It's really.
Very much so. And for my audience that can't wait for them to watch, you will come for Jonathan the Star. You will get caught up in this deeply riveting, exciting, sexualized story, but you can't help but feel emotion for this other storyline, which is the relationship with his mother, which is very touching and endearing. And then, like you talk about, his father, which he has struggled to have a relationship with. And we learn so much about that, the meeting you're talking about, that really rounds out this film. Jonathan gave you so much to work with, and it seems like he allowed you full access to everything. And we're talking the partying and him on on stage having sex and talking to potential escort clients and on and on. Was that
And he gave me his own computer, which shocked me, like with hundred or thousand sex event and situation with people. He told me, if you want to understand me, watch it. So for like 2 months, I just watched sex after sex. What I'm supposed to do with it? Another two guys, three guys in his computer exchange movies in some website. Hey man, you know what? It's 2 months to see from different, what I'm supposed to do with it. What kind of information I have to take? Shall I put it in the movie? Shall I ignore it? Like a deep question I asked myself during the process.
there's one scene towards the end, and I think we were talking about it a little briefly about the drug taking and how it escalates. And I'm wondering, there's one scene towards the end where it gets pretty serious. And I know as a documentarian, you're following somebody around, you have full access, but you obviously, you know, you're participating by going to some of these parties. But at times, there's one scene, and I don't want to totally give it away, where it looks like Jonathan, our subject, might need a little bit of help and he might be in some trouble. And you do get involved. How talk a little about what you can about that scene and how you kind of played that role of documentarian and when to get involved, as I'm assuming you became friends with him when you see he could potentially be in danger.
I never been to a situation like this, and specific about what you described right now. To put it in the context and without to destroy the movie, Jonathan started to use very heavy drugs, which is a crystal meth called Mr. Tina or GHBG, daily basis, 24/7, sex, drugs, and using drugs in a very intensive way. And tell me, hey, come with your camera, show me using it, doing it. I want to talk about it. It's part of my life. Tomer, I want you to be there. He by himself, I can't say force me, but call me, and I'm in Israel, and say, come to a party that the main issue is using drugs and then sex. Okay.
Yeah, can I stop you? Can I stop you there real quick? What do you think, just if you could share, what do you think that was about, if you could? I mean, what do you think it was about Jonathan that he knew that you're filming him, that this was going to be documented, that ultimately this is going to be most likely shown in one way, shape, or form. What do you think it was about Jonathan that wanted to show everything, including this side, the drug side?
There's something very beautiful about Jonathan, that he's not sharing only the beauty and the perfect moment in life. He really have this mission to share things with people and say, hey, my life is full of complex, and I also want you, my fans or my friend, to be with me when I'm down, empty, and lonely. But even Jonathan, I think, was not aware how deep he's in problem. And we have to share with your audience that he started using drugs that create almost like epilepsy situation, which means you lose completely yourself, you put yourself in danger, you might die from it, people are dying from it. And you have to understand, first time I was shocked, third time I was still shocked. After 20, 40, 50 times, I saw the guy, and I decide, and in a strange way, in a moral way, I say, I need, if I'm doing a movie about escorting guy, about someone who's using drugs, I need to show it. I need to share it. I was not sure that Jonathan will give me the permission to share it. And when he came to the editing room, and we're talking about very tough moment, you agree with me? It's not easy to watch.
Yes. No, not at all.
It's not easy to watch it. If you come to this movie, be ready. You might even
Right.
say, I want to leave the cinema. Jonathan came to see it. I told him, Jonathan, before I publish the movie, please you watch it. And he told me, Tomer, don't dare to take this situation from the movie. It's very important that I will show a mirror to our community, the queer community, and to talk about it, but not to talk about it from intellectual theory in the academy, to show to people what's going on in the club and the connection between escorting and sex and this jungle of feeling. It was a hard moment, but luckily I have Jonathan that gave me the permission to.
Exactly. And I think your first comment about when I asked you this was there's something very beautiful about Jonathan. And it's is that he wants to show all sides of him, which is humanity. And in his case, it's full, you're getting full access, and it is beautiful, as it is hard to watch. I have to say, the entirety of what he allowed you and what you covered and captured is ultimately a beautiful thing, and I commend you on that. Lastly, do you think that there's a lot of scenes, particularly maybe the porn industry and Michael Lucas productions, do you think that there might be any backlash at all, or do you not care? You're just certainly presenting what Jonathan's world was about, say, maybe there's just a little bit of insight into porn and Michael Lucas and his production company.
For my personal meetings with Michael, he was really, really nice to me and to Jonathan. And in some way, what I like about Jonathan Agassi is that he takes responsibility about his case. He never blame or have any doubt about the industry.
Yes.
Because first of all, and at the beginning, Jonathan was forced to behave clean, no drugs, and to take care about it. The one who started to going deeply to this circle of life is Jonathan by himself. So it's very important that it's not a movie that show the backstage of porn industry. It's a very specific case, because at the same time I can share with you these other porn actors that wake up in the morning, going to study, have relationship with someone, have a very boring life. So it's keep it open to the audience to decide, what's going on. Maybe the movie says something about the people that taking Jonathan as an escorting. Let's say is a very strong moment at the end when 20 guys around him. This is leave you with an open question about, hey, what's happened? Why we lost the ability to have intimacy and to enjoy sex just one-on-one or, in a private places? This is a big question. Hopefully it will open a dialogue and a kind of question mark about industry and about our choices, but even more what it's meant to be a father or mother. It's much more about the choices that we take as a parents. This is for me the message from the movie.
Oh, I love it. The film is wonderful. Tomar, I want to thank you so much. The film is called Jonathan Agassi Saved My Life. You can see it. The day this is coming out, this interview, you can see it this Thursday, July 21st. July 25th at 10 p.m. at the TLC Chinese 6 theaters. Will you be able to make the film?
I'm going to talk with the audience. The Outfest Film Festival invite me, so I will be in the July 25, and I will have Skype with audience from LA directly to Jonathan. So Jonathan going to talk with audience in LA, and I'm going to be there. And you are and you are my first interview in LA, and in hopefully you open the door for us in America.
I'm going to do my part. The film is riveting. I loved it so much. Congratulations on that. And for those people that may not be able to make the next Thursdays, do you have plans for it to, will it go to other festivals before it has a release or?
I'm right now waiting to some options, and if someone hear this program, like to take the movie to a special screening all over the USA. So this is a premiere, and from there, hopefully, we go to other city. And right now, I know only about Los Angeles premiere.
Well, I want to thank my guest today, Tomer Heymann, for talking about his brand new documentary, Jonathan Agassi Saved My Life. You can see it this Thursday at the TCL Chinese 6 Theaters in Los Angeles for Outfest. It's this Thursday, July 25th at 10 p.m. You can also keep up with the film at Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Jonathan Agassi Saved My Life. Thanks for listening to another episode of TAGSPodcast, and in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex.